Okay, we're live.
We're live, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the Brian McCarthy interview show. If you're watching, it's YouTube and Facebook. Like, comment, share. Ugh, I hate saying that. I'm sorry. I know. But anyway, if you're listening, it's a podcast. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here with Adam. We were talking right before the show. We were talking about how Adam was mentioning that he watches Intervention. And
this week was a very heavy on Intervention. Yeah.
What I was at, this is so you guys are gonna plot. I was thinking, all I could think about was Adam was talking as I was thinking, I can't wait to tell him that I feel like they're all Canadian. And before I could get it out of my mouth,
Adam and then we kissed passion.
Yeah. Adam goes, they're all from Canada. And I said, yeah,
that was weird. I feel like the whole season I watched was Canadian.
They had a lot of maple syrup addiction. Yeah, exactly. I knew I was in trouble when I sold all my hockey gear for cocaine.
Right.
But yeah, and I was saying
blowing people for loonies.
Yeah, I need this just gets me to feel normal.
Behind the transit station.
Yeah, all these like weird. Yeah, exactly.
I love all those like the little differences.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
a quirk.
Yeah, back at uni, he was so good. Yeah. But until grade 11.
Yeah, I knew him when he went on holiday to Colombia. I knew that there was going to be trouble ahead, trouble afoot. And it's also what I was saying to Adam is I feel like, Canada's like, look, if you're listening in Canada, especially for Patreon, God bless you. If Canadians, they seem to be like the way I've described Canada as America, but all the cars have cloth seats.
Sure.
So it's sort of like Canada's like 10 years behind us. So they're just now they're at the tail end of their crack epidemic because they're all on crack in Canada. It seems like that's the big drug in Canada.
And Eminem is the biggest rapper.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit.
Right. And they're like, have you seen Thomas has a plasma television? 32 inches wide it is. Or no, do they do inches or do they do like metric?
No, they probably do millimeters right?
Yeah. His television
centimeters.
His television is 2 meters long, like not even like wide.
Have you heard of this ludicrous fella?
Have you? Yes, folks. I've gotten my dial-up modem is on the fritz. Anyway, so that is what's going on in Canada.
Sure.
Because I don't
addiction-wise.
Yeah, I don't feel like you can't. When I lived through the crack epidemic, but like I remember in New York when crack was a very big problem, and you would see the little vials. They look like little teeny tiny pieces of Tupperware.
Sure.
And they had red or they had little tops, and you could see them all over the place. And
I would hate when I would leave my crack vials at my mother-in-law's house.
Yeah, this is top.
She would never return them.
Top rack of the dishwasher, guys. Right. You put those crack vials in the base, they're just going to get melted. They're going to melt and get warped. And then where are we? But it was a big thing in New York. And it was interesting back then because this is like 90, 91, 92, 93, And the thing about crack was like, it made the homeless people, they were constantly trying to, they weren't like violent. I mean, they were violent, I guess, but they were always trying to sell you stuff. That was the age of like, you could go down the street and some guy would just run up to you with like a half, like half a bike, and like clearly he had just stolen the bike but didn't have a front wheel.
Yeah,
and he'd be like
seat post.
Yeah, there would still be somebody's like like pants on the seat, and he wrote, the guy would be like, "You want a bike? It's $100."
A bike still with the rider. With its owner on it.
A bike with a guy 25 feet behind you yelling, "That's my bike." And holding his own wheel. But it was always, you could always negotiate though, because I did buy a bike from a crackhead once.
Okay.
And it was like, there used to be in the East Village, I mean, it's still there, but around St. Mark's Place, there was like an open air. I mean, New York was wild. It was like, you could go down there and there were just people that just had rows and rows of stolen bikes.
Sure.
And you could just buy a stolen bike. There were like guys that they were the middleman. So crackheads would sell those bikes to these guys, and then those guys would sell bikes to people like me. And
so you were buying it from an authorized dealer,
in a manner of speaking.
You weren't buying it crackhead direct.
The crackhead. This is how I kind of glean how it worked.
I really wish we had a visual.
The distribution cycle.
Yes, crackhead.
So I'm imagining the bike starts off being owned by the person who presumably bought that bike. Although maybe they bought it from a crackhead. Who knows?
A young boy.
That bike, yeah,
with
exactly.
a paper route.
With a paper, right? A Schwinn. So that bike would be stolen by a crackhead. That crackhead would take it to St. Mark's Place. St. Mark's Place guy who would buy bikes in bulk, presumably, would say, okay, I'll take your Trek 800, because I remember I had a Trek 800, and it might be a bike worth $500-$600 even. And he would say to the crackhead, I'll give you, I don't know, $50, right?
Sure.
Crackhead would probably go like, come on, man. Something like that.
Yeah.
Give me $100. And he would always go, no, Smokey.
And then he would remember he needs it immediately.
And he would go, now it's 40.
Right.
Yeah. So then the bike guy would then buy the crackhead, buy the bike from the crackhead, and he would then just take it and turn around, and then he would have a bunch more of these bikes. Right. And this is when the police didn't give a shit, and they would just have a bunch of bikes, and maybe he might stick a wheel on the front, and maybe get a little Windex on it, maybe zhuzh it up a little bit.
Little armor all. Tires.
Listen, a Clorox wipe goes a long way.
Maybe a streamer and a bell.
Yeah, some sort of one of those big inflatable arm things, crack bikes. And then you would go buy, and I would buy that bike for like $150, and then I would own that bike for 6 months, 8 months, a year, whatever, how long. I think I had that bike for about a year and a half, and then someone would steal that bike from me, and the cycle of life.
Crackhead that initially resold it to the bike flipper.
Wow. Probably doing even worse now a year and a half later. So
yeah,
he's like, did I steal this bike already? I feel like this one looks familiar.
I mean, that's kind of quite an economy.
Listen, we talk, a lot of times in America, we talk about what is it called? Like when you when you buy something and it doesn't affect the earth, like you sort of
like having a low carbon footprint.
Yeah, like, exactly. Is there a lower carbon footprint than having a bike made probably in China?
Sure.
And then it gets to America, and then it just kind of bounces around within a 3-block radius for like 3 years until finally, I don't know, somebody ends up just smoking the bike.
Sure.
So have you ever smoked crack?
I have not.
Oh.
I've only just done powdered cocaine.
Nerd.
Yeah, I'm a real teetotaler.
I think I have mentioned this. I know I'm like very conscious of things I've already said, but I have smoked freebase.
But you have not smoked crack rock.
No.
You cook it up in the.
Although I will say, the gentleman that I used to buy, there is, by the way, no one's supposed to be listening to this who's under 18, especially if you're my children. It's a shame.
Though they don't hear the disclaimer on the live version. So
yeah, but they don't go on Facebook. That's a boomer. That's strictly a boomer platform. We should put this on Twitch. Mm-hmm. So anyway, but the guy that I used to buy from in my sort of my wholesale, I remember one time he said, hey, do you want to see a big rock of crack? And he had like a 1/4 ounce rock of crack, and it was like it looked like a giant, one of those big Hershey kisses that you get, it looks like a big Hershey kiss. That was what it looked like. I mean, obviously it was a little more like had more angles.
It could become like a tourist attraction.
Yeah, and that
world's
was
biggest rock of crack.
Right. Well, imagine
like a red velvet rope around it.
Yeah, exactly. People take pictures next to it.
They pull up in like
right.
Volvo station wagons from the suburbs.
Yeah, like those when people go to is it Mount what's it in like Mount White
Mount Rushmore?
No, they go like this car climbed Mount Hood or something. Right.
Okay.
My father went to see the largest crack rock in New York, and all I got was a lousy T-shirt.
I mean, that's way more interesting than a ball of yarn, right?
Or a Broadway show.
Definitely more interesting than a Broadway show.
I remember looking at it, and I asked the guy, shout out Joe, Jose, who are we kidding? Jose. And I was like, how do you like deal with this? And he's like, well, people, it was a special order. So one guy would,
some fellas show up with chisels and mallets.
Yeah. A bunch of dwarves show
imagine?
Up. Hi.
He sells it like bulk fruit or like bulk, the yogurt covered.
Imagine talk about being the life of the crack house, though. Like, imagine you roll into as you mentioned before the show, imagine you roll into the trap house and you have like a giant rock of crack cocaine in your right hand. And you're like, who's sucking this dick first?
Right.
Because it isn't going to suck themselves. I mean, you're the hero of the hour, especially because when you see, you don't need that much crack, like a hit of crack.
Yeah, is it just a little
tiny little sliver? I mean,
nice.
It's like that's why when they were doing when they were redoing all the drug laws in America, the law was, and I think they may have changed it, but the law was like a gram of crack was you would get in a lot more trouble if you had a gram of crack versus a gram of cocaine.
Right.
But people were saying,
which was just basically
very racist. Let's be honest. I mean, it really is.
I mean,
however,
wow, they did not do much to even hide it.
In the defense of these racist drug laws, a gram of cocaine looks like, however it looks, I can picture it. A gram of crack is a lot bigger.
Oh, really? Because you're adding baking soda.
It's by virtue of the fact that it's all rocky and shit. So, and a gram of crack you can sell that gram of crack. That'll be broken down into like 10 little things of tenths. Okay. Typically, a gram of cocaine, is sold to one person for $90 or whatever it is. But I remember when I was about 1992, when Brandon and I were roommates, he used to go. There were these two drug dealers on the street, and they were called GQ. I mean, either one, they were just like the GQ guys.
Gentlemen's,
because stamped on their little baggies,
that was their branding.
GQ stamp was on it. Right. So Brandon would go up and he would go and Brandon did not give a shit. He would just go and I don't even know how we found out about the GQ brothers, because one day he came back and he was like, I was walking on 11th Street and look what I bought. And he showed me like a because if you saw Brandon from across the street, you knew that Brandon was
he was wily.
He'll buy drugs from you. He'll suck your dick for him. He'll do whatever it can.
I'll take
whatever you're selling, sir. Right.
I'll take the pills. I don't care what they do.
I've got one bike wheel. Let's make a deal. Let's make a deal. So
and an iPod shuffle.
Yeah. So that's what's going on. So I don't even know. We were that porn girl, Jessie Jane, just passed away. Do you know who that is? Are you following? You won't know her because she's white.
Back in the day, I used to know.
Well, she was one of the girls. She was on Entourage. She was a little blonde, really pretty, very porny looking, and I mean that in the best sense of the word.
She was on Entourage.
She was.
I'm thinking of the only one I can think of was Sasha Grey, but
no.
Jessie Jane.
Jessie Jane.
Jane.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was in the Pirates series, which was the most expensive pornography.
1980, Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah.
Let me see. Check her out. Yeah, I don't know that
she was like she was on the tail end, no pun intended, of like the Vivid Girls,
Okay.
And
I probably saw her along.
I mean, when I say she was on Entourage, Rainn Wilson played like a movie blogger, and she fucked Rainn Wilson because she was friends with the Entourage boys. So
she had to fuck them to get like a good review for Aquaman or something.
But I don't mean to ruin it for anybody. Something like that. Yeah, exactly.
Queens Boulevard.
Yeah, I am Queens Boulevard. Such a Entourage boy. It doesn't age well.
Suit.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, God, that guy Billy, whatever his name. Oh, what a fucking. I mean, they're very realistic characters.
I saw that guy. You're talking about the one that like was his.
He was like his
childhood
filmmaker guy.
Oh yeah, right. That guy. I'm talking about the guy that was his best friend, E. Remember E?
Oh, Kevin Connolly?
Kevin Connolly, that's right. Oh. I saw Kevin Connolly once at Dan Tana's, which is on Santa Monica Boulevard. It's one of these like LA places that have been open since like 1950 or something. And I swear to God, I don't think he's 5 feet tall.
Yeah, he's a short, and he's I know at one point he got so skinny, but he still had a very big head, so he was like one of those bobblehead
he's
people.
Like a lollipop guy. Lollipop guy.
Joined the guild.
Yeah, exactly. He was also in Rocky 5, if you remember that.
Okay.
He was the bad guy
from that Married with Children knockoff.
David Faustino?
Unhappily Ever After. No, remember there was like a different alternate version of it. Really? It was like the same show. It was called Unhappily Ever After.
When you say
Nikki Cox was the like hot chick.
It's a family show. Okay, so I'm confused. Anyways. I thought you meant, because Married with Children, I thought you meant like the lesbian neighbor, or it was like a spinoff. It wasn't really a spinoff. It was an entirely separate show.
Yeah, totally separate show. But it was like,
was it on the CW or something?
Probably.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like weirdly exactly the same kind of.
Well, if it isn't
setting.
broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Nikki Cox, isn't she one of those women that was really hot and now she looks terrible?
Yeah, she kind of did a little too much futzing. With
she's
her
not
face.
but I also
she was really hot.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
And then she married, I want to say Bobcat Goldthwait, because they met on that show, because he did the Hollywood Welcome to the Hollywood fucking report with Adam and Ryan. But he did the voice of like a fucking teddy bear or something.
Yeah, this is, you know what? This is really vaguely familiar to me. Yeah.
But that was where I first knew him from, because he was the brother. I want to say he maybe dated Nikki Cox too.
Wow, she got passed around like craft services.
Yeah, right.
Hey, excuse me. Can I get a plate of Nikki Cox who's over by the Twizzlers?
She married Jay Moore.
Wow.
I think that was his last.
Jesus. Let's look and see what she's looking like now. Would you please?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just curious. We're going to be doing a lot of this, guys, because we don't, sometimes, by the way, no guest today, in case you've already figured that out, but it's just Adam and I. So we'll check in about any questions or comments on the live thing.
Yeah, 20. Ooh, yeah. That's her face now.
Oh, yeah. Although I will say,
I mean, she's still.
That's
you're not kicking her out of bed for eating crackers.
It's an LA6 right there. Nothing wrong with that.
But she got real skinny and I think she fucked up her face.
Yeah, I think she got really into drugs. I think she got really into drugs because I know that it was a very contentious. As a matter of fact, I believe that when I was supposed to, for those of you who don't know, Jay Moore and I I don't like Jay Moore, and because I was supposed to do his show and then he canceled the day of.
I'm trying to think of somebody that likes Jay Moore.
Well, didn't he marry like a billionaire woman who's
Jeannie Buss, she
LA
is now
Kings.
the owner of the Lakers.
Oh my God.
Daughter of Jerry Buss, who kind of founded the whole dynasty.
Okay. Is that when they made the HBO series about that guy?
Yeah,
okay.
Which got canceled, it was a great show.
Was it a great show? Yeah.
Fucking great. What's his name played Jerry Buss?
What's his name?
I can't think of his name. Somebody will say it on the chat.
Ed O'Neill?
I wish it was
Ed O'Neill.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, the day I was supposed to do his stupid show the day of, and I actually extended my stay in Los Angeles for one extra night and changed my flight. The whole thing cost me about $1,000. And then
John C. Reilly.
Oh yeah, of course I know that guy.
He's fucking great in that.
Yeah. He's one of the few celebrities I've seen running around New York a lot. I've seen him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
God, he's fucking great.
Yeah. Apparently, he does not like to be talked to.
Oh, okay.
He's not one of those guys that, because he's one of those guys where
jovial fella.
But if you think of it this way, like, think of the kind of people that like Step Brothers. Not that Step Brothers it has its charms, but it's a lot of bros that probably love Step Brothers. Right. So it's kind of like, imagine he's
so he's used to. See, I would be like, from like Tim and Eric or something. I know him as Dr. Steve Brule.
Even that, I bet that's a deeper cut. You're like, hey, listen, I know a lot of people like you from Step Brothers, but I like you from Equus.
Oh, you know what? I'd go even deeper and I'd go Office Hours Live, Tim Heidecker's podcast.
Oh, wow.
So that's just like for funsies. You know what I mean?
I feel
like I could win him over, maybe.
I wish that I knew. I would immediately run behind a potted plant on the street, and I would go Google search John C. Reilly off-Broadway dramatic plays.
Okay.
And then I'd be like,
yeah,
I loved you in, I don't know, A Night of Fishermen or something, some kind of like thing about gay Welshmen or something. And I'd be like, I saw you when you were in Cardiff, and you were in that show. It was really great.
Sure.
And he's like, everyone,
Edinburgh.
He's like, everyone always loves Step Brothers. And I'd be like, I don't even know what that is.
Everybody's all boats and hoes. And you're like,
oh, yeah. I'm like, when you were at the Yale School of Drama, and then he wasn't even at the Yale School of Drama, but now he'd be embarrassed and he'd play along. Sure. And he'd be like, I was in Connecticut. I remember. We're both lying to each other. And then afterwards, he's like, yeah, you're a really great guy. I go, yeah, you listen to my podcast? He goes, you're that Brian McCarthy? And then like, we're friends.
I can actually picture that because he's such a funny, like, oh, yeah. Oh, thanks so much. Thank you so much.
But again, I have heard, I don't even know why I know this.
Like that.
Well, again, I feel like
you're breaking my heart.
He might be nice to you. Here's the thing.
Maybe.
If you came up to him, plus you would only meet him in the context of like, audio engineering, or
yeah, I'd be like,
you'd be
voicing a book, like an audio book, and I'd be like, okay,
you know how to handle celebrities. Like when you first met me, you knew I was on VH1 18 years ago.
Yeah, right,
but you didn't
I didn't stroke you too much, but I
felt the respect,
right,
and the admiration, which I don't, no one would blame you, but you let me have my space, and you let the friendship grow.
Didn't smother you.
Yeah,
I just kind of am a fly on the wall.
Yeah. You're
typically in a situation like that. I'm very unintrusive.
Yeah, you're like, this guy's in the throes of late stage alcoholism, but he was somebody 18 years ago.
In between chugging glasses of rosé. Because he didn't want to spill them.
Yeah, I don't want
to. Didn't want to dribble, which actually is a pretty good if you're a blind guy.
Yeah,
or if you have
eyeball trouble. Really.
Yeah, it kind of works.
4 deep. Oh, boy.
It's definitely not because I don't want to feel.
Oh my God!
It's because I don't want to dribble on my sweater.
Well, I remember there was a shout out to Hanoi, which is this like Indonesian restaurant when I used to live in Park Slope, and it was right by my house.
Vietnamese, right? We went there a couple times.
Yes, exactly. It was
good banh mi sandwich.
Yes, very much so. And I remember I would go there, and they would do they have glasses of white wine for like $5. And the first one I'd have to drink with both hands because I get a little shaky. So
sure. The first one of the day?
First one of the day, yeah.
Interesting.
Or my 11:30 glass.
Your 11:30. So that would be about when you would start. Wow, but interesting. You didn't keep stuff like like a bottle around the, behind the toilet tank or anything?
No, although every time my dad had this really shitty apartment, and I went to it one time, and I was like 13 or 14, and I went to put in a pot pie. And I went to put it in the oven.
Vodka bottles in the oven.
And I turned it on, and all of a sudden, like 5 minutes later, here, pop, 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 pop. And
I'm preheating the Kharkov bottles.
I'm preheating the Gordon's vodka bottles. I was impressed.
I will say they were glass at least.
I know. I was going to say I was impressed. My dad. If you're drinking shatterproof, like half-gallon,
right?
Yeah, these were
plastic handles.
And by the way, like, just take him out to I remember the house was on an alley. Just take him out to the fucking trash can. Like, why go out of your way to put them in the oven? What are you saving them for? Like,
Carrie Bradshaw? You don't use your oven?
Yeah, the green stamps. Like, was there some sort of sweepstakes where my dad was going to get like a Fleischmann's tank top?
Maybe there was some kind of a
proof of purchase on the back of it, or something.
I was going to get like a fucking.
He's like, Brian, I was heating these up so I could peel those proof of purchases off so I could mail them into the Fleischmann's guys, bottled in Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah, he was going to get a Fleischmann's kayak, probably.
Yeah. You were going to get a Fleischmann's mouse pad for Christmas, but now you're not, son. Yeah.
Too bad.
I know. It's so crazy. I know. That, God, that apartment was such a shithole. I don't wonder if it's still there. It's,
I probably not.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's in an area.
Baltimore.
It's Towson, though. It's a suburb of Baltimore. Yeah. The you want to Google image something for me and see if it's still there? Can you please Google image Towson Motel? Because
and it's
TOWSON Motel, York Road
Motel.
But my dad lived in these apartments right behind the Towson Motel, and Towson Motel was a really shitty little dumpy, it's like a really shitty little dump. I'm sure it has to still be there. This is right around like where I went to. This is where I got
motel or hotel.
Motel. Oh, very much so. Towson Motel.
And then wait, sorry, what was the town called?
TOWSON.
Oh, it's also Towson.
Towson Motel.
Towson Motel.
Yes, sir. York Road. There is a rub and tug next door to it, and it has a neon sign, which, that's not something, I believe they have free HBO. I am dating myself here.
Yeah.
And
it's Towson, Maryland.
Yes, sir. Towson, Maryland.
Let me put in all that.
Towson, Maryland, York Road. Sorry, everybody. I know we're sort of, it's kind of a weird show.
Towson East Motel?
I don't think so.
I mean, they could have
they moved the whole place east somewhere.
Wait, let me see what street it's on.
If it's on York Road, then we're in business.
No, this is on Joppa Road.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that is east, as a matter of fact. I know where that is.
That's their other location. Well, so maybe they've expanded.
I believe Towson East Motel is not dissimilar to Towson Motel. Well, anyway, I'll have to look into it. But yeah, I remember Towson Motel was a place where this guy that I knew had a girlfriend, and a buddy of mine, we ran into this guy with his girlfriend, at the Burger King, and he had a car, and so we were driving around. People like to hang out with me because I was never afraid to go get alcohol. Like I would stand in front of the liquor store, and like people would go into the liquor store, and I'd be like, "Hey, would you buy me something?"
Right.
I was that kid. Do kids still do that? I wonder.
I don't know.
I wonder.
I don't do much drinking. I only go to kind of a fancy, liquor store. There wouldn't be kids.
You never shoot away a 14-year-old broken home boy.
No, I only go to like a gentrified liquor store.
It was a pocket full of change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What do you want? I don't know. How much does this get me?
Yeah, I don't think, man. I bet New York City they don't even have to do that, because I bet they just get like something that passes for an ID, and they just go, here you go. I mean, because that's what I had a guy that I worked with that he had a fake ID.
Okay.
And he would buy for us, so I didn't even really have to do.
Okay, so Towson was sort of a well-heeled suburb of Baltimore. So the problem was, if you were in, there were a couple different ways you could do it. If you were in like downtown Baltimore, you could just get down to like not even downtown, but just like let's just say an urban area of Baltimore, and you would find somebody who was down on their luck around in front
urban area of Baltimore. Sounds
a little redundant. Yeah, exactly. Right. So
urban Baltimore,
like the cold part of Anchorage in the winter.
Sure.
Yeah. So you would,
Antarctica.
So we would go down, but that would you would burn like an hour and change dealing with that. But you would just go down there and you would find some, but then the trouble sometimes you'd find some old black guy, and then he would think he's partying with you now all night long.
That was always the dilemma.
Yeah. What's up, player? Now what?
The guy that I used to work with, he was a couple years older than me.
Right.
But he was out of high school.
Okay.
But not quite 21.
Okay.
And yeah, then he would want to come hang out, and we'd be like hanging out at whoever's parents' house that was out of town.
With like a 20-year-old.
Yeah, it was awkward. And he was clearly there to try to hang out with young ladies.
14-year-olds. Yeah.
It was weird.
Yes. And I didn't have, at that age, like the I don't know, the acumen or the street smarts to make it so mercantile where I could say to this person, say, listen, we're going to give you $30.
Yeah. Or you got to build in a little fee. Or something,
or just you got to get in front of that. You got to go, hey, you look like a guy that likes E&J's brandy. I do. So I tell you what, buy X, Y, and Z. I do, player. You give me money for Hennessy VSOP, very special old pair. Okay, player. You boys gonna get into it tonight, huh? Better wear them rubbers. Giving you like weird old black guy advice,
dude.
No matter how angry you get, don't hit him. If you hit him under the neck.
Right.
What? Excuse me, sir?
Right.
So that's what you could do. Or like when I lived in my area of Baltimore where I live, which was rapidly turning, let's just call it urban. When I lived there, it was white trash, and it was getting urban very quickly. And then there was a liquor store by my house, and it was owned by like old white people, but they sold it to Chinese people. And, and they had a one of those like bulletproof glass things.
Yeah.
But the bulletproof glass was so like dirty and scratched up.
Right.
They must have bought this
cloudy.
They must have bought this used from another
glass.
Yeah. So I could have held up an ID that said I was the blonde girl from Little House on the Prairie, the mean girl. Yes. That's me. I'm the mean girl from Little House on the Prairie. And they just would have sold me anything.
Right. They would have just turned the little carousel and given you your Mickey's Big Mouth.
I remember I would always, and it was really funny because I look, I mean, I'm 50 now and I look kind of young, I guess.
You definitely too looking at pictures of you as a teenager.
When I was like 13, I looked like I was
very
9.
boyish.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would always have an unnecessary backstory. Like I would go into
just got off the oil rig.
I've been with my ex-wife and the kids for the past couple of hours. I sure could use a couple of Bartles and James wine coolers.
Sure.
No, I would always go in and I would always go, yeah. I remember one time I would go, I said, they would go, you in school? I go, yeah, I go to Johns Hopkins. I'm in medical school.
Yeah, for sure.
They would just go, good for you.
Okay.
You studied Brones? Yeah, Brones. Bloke in Brones.
Quite a little back and forth through the loose side.
Yeah. Imagine they gave me some weird like Bone test. What is a femla?
Right.
I
mean, they're Chinese people. They could very well have a child in medical school as well.
Oh boy, then the gig is up.
Yep.
Yeah, but so or you could do that, or and this is what I would, and this was of the three of these, this was the easiest, but this was the most challenging. There was a liquor store, wine shop thing right by Towson State University, which is now called Towson University, where Amy Schumer went. Now it's kind of a good school, kind of.
Right.
I have an uncle that was a professor there.
Okay.
But anyway, look at me name dropping. Wow. But so, and there was this liquor wine store thing, and it was right on York Road. York Road was a big street. They had motels and rub and tugs, and of course this liquor store. Wow. And they had a great a men's haberdasher there. It was called the Oxford Shop. You could go there and you could get like, flannel pants and that kind of shit. It's now a Starbucks. Okay. Anyway, I'm babbling. But that liquor store. So what you would have to do is with that place is there would be like groups of college guys, mainly guys, whatever, and they would park in the parking lot, and I would come out of the bushes, you know what I mean, like a Victorian street urchin, and I would go, hey, you guys, you just and that one, you just have to get right in there. You just have to be like, listen, I'm going to a party. Can you guys please buy me something? And they would just be like, and they would. Number one, this was all very much along ethnic lines. You know what I mean? Like I was kind of a little white preppy kid. They were white preppy guys, blah, 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 blah.
You understand each other.
And there was always like, sometimes you meet guys that were unbelievably cool and they'd be like, how much money do you have? And you'd be like, I have $7. And they'd be like, all right, we'll get you, what do you want? And I would say like, you know what Milwaukee's best is?
Yeah, of course.
They call it the Beast. You familiar with that?
Yeah, definitely.
And I would go, and I want to sound cool. I'd be like, hey, just give me a 12-pack of the Beast.
That stuff will get you fucked up.
Yeah. And they would always go, sometimes they would go like, oh man, you can't drink that. You got to drink Schaefer's.
Yeah, you got to slow down.
Or like they would contribute their own, like $1 or two. And if you found
they would throw you $1 so you could upgrade.
Sometimes.
Wow.
I remember that happening once or twice. If I was funny, sometimes I'd come out of the bushes with a joke.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. I would go, which one of these beers is best for raping? And they all laugh. Hey guy, I got some 11-year-old girls back in my treehouse.
Is there anything with the chloroform already in it?
Yeah, right.
That's a good piece of business.
I know I look young. Make sure that none of this has a screw top on. I need something with a I can pop like a Capri. Do they make
this kid's all right?
Yeah, they make alcoholic Capri Suns, sir.
Yeah, anything in a pouch, which I think they actually do make stuff
now
in
they
a pouch.
Now they've just
these
really
hipsters with their nostalgia.
Yeah, they've really leaned into the 12-year-old drinking kids. Right. Want to wash down your fentanyl and your Twitch?
Actually, I went to one of those crab boil the seafood boil places, and they did all their mixed drinks. They did in like these pouches, like Capri Sun. It was like for kitsch, but
yeah.
But
what do you mean, like in Ziploc bag, like a reusable kind of thing?
Yeah, so that they could, because they were making like craft cocktails and then pouring them into, but then you would drink it from a pouch. Which, it reminds me of being a latchkey child.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah,
I ordered a Hungry Man dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
I ordered off menu. I got the Salisbury steak.
Did you eat it wearing your shocker shin guards?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And my power glove.
Yeah. I gotta do fractions. But I remember once or maybe even twice they were buying, because then like they would go in and not all the guys would go in, so you make small talk. And I remember once or twice I got invited to a party. So I would like, not only would they go, they'd buy me something, and then they'd be like, you want to, because they would thought it'd be funny or something, when it would come to a party with us, because I'm already cracking jokes. So I would go to a college party, but those were always kind of a minefield, because, you would be there as sort of a novelty, but then if you overstepped yourself, you could that was a lot of anxiety. I would just,
I'm with you on that, because we were always like, being from like a medium-sized town,
right,
with a lot of colleges, we were always like a step ahead. So when I was in high school, or when I was grade school, you'd hang out, or middle school, you were hanging out with high school kids, high school parties, and then high school, you were hanging out with college kids,
right,
and then when you were approaching college age, you were like going to bars with your coworkers that were already going to bars. So it was always a little weird.
And now you're 40 and you're hanging out with middle school girls.
Yes.
So it all
right,
full circle.
I'm hanging out with my T-Bird in the
exactly.
parking lot of the high school.
Yeah. You guys like Journey? Yeah, I remember the original singer. He wasn't a chink. You're like, this guy's weird.
Jesus Christ. You're like, he was in Vietnam.
He's
He's kind of set in his ways. He's got his own terminology.
Yeah, like walking around Baltimore. It used to be the Colts. Now it's the fucking Ravens. I don't even know what that is, man. But
fucking devastating. Not to get topical, but devastating loss by the Ravens got knocked out.
Does that make you unhappy?
Yeah, I love the fucking Ravens. The Ravens are great because I've been a fan of them because they were like a real fucking ragtag bunch.
Right.
Like I loved that.
Like North Dallas 40, like that movie with Burt Reynolds from the 70s. Like a ragtag group of
they're talented, but it's like,
Were they so ragtag they wore those leather helmets?
Yeah.
Or not even helmets even. They would just go out in the field. Isn't that the one where the one guy like beat up his girlfriend in an elevator and they have it on security footage?
That was before my time.
Ray Rice?
Was Ray Rice no.
You can call me Ray and you can call me Jay.
I think it was Ray Rice.
Here, I'll narrow it down for you. He's African American, and he plays football, and he's angry.
Oh yeah, that was Ray Rice.
Ray Rice, right? So
I guess he was a Raven. That was before I liked the Ravens or followed the Ravens.
Right. You're like that was when I really liked the Ravens. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know because I'm so old. When I lived in Baltimore, it was the Colts, and as a matter of fact, when I was about that same age. 13, 14, not 13, but 14, 15 still on that York Road, good old York Road. If you went down towards Northern Boulevard, I know this is way inside the fucking Beltway here, folks, but there was a place called Johnny. Remember the famous quarterback, Johnny Unitas?
Sure.
Well, Johnny Unitas had, for those of you who don't know, Johnny Unitas was he was a quarterback for the Baltimore Colts. And he famously was the quarterback against Joe Namath. And Johnny Unitas had like a crew cut. He looked like a real like 50s Eisenhower. He was like a real like American looking guy. And Joe Namath like would come out with like his long hair and
bell bottoms.
Yeah. And he
Broadway Joe.
Yeah, he clearly had just like already he'd like fucked somebody like in the locker room on his way out. He had like he would wear like a Coke spoon around his neck, so
he's groovy.
Yeah, he's groovy. But Joe Namath famously beat Johnny Unitas, and it was a real culture war because if you like Johnny Unitas, that was
Jocks versus
So Johnny Unitas had a place called
hippies.
He had a bar called the Golden Arm Lounge. And Johnny Unitas' Golden Arm Lounge. And it was one of these places where in 1988, 89, it was on its last legs. Mm-hmm. And, I know, just indulge me. Would you just Google search Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Lounge and see what comes up? Because I know sometimes people think I make this stuff up.
You think that they're...
And
I have to accuse you of falsifying lounges.
I mean, by the way, they called Johnny Unitas. He was a quarterback and he could throw a football, so they called him the Golden Arm. So that's why
it called? The
Golden Arm Lounge.
Golden Arm Lounge.
Yes, Johnny Unitas is the Golden Arm Lounge, and it was one of those places where you went in there and the waitresses had giant beehives, and you got a fucking a drink you could get like a brandy stinger or something. But I think I went in there, and I think everyone that worked there, it was kind of like the bar in The Shining. Everyone in there was already dead. So if I went in there, nobody even blinked an eye. Just like an old man bar, but it was, anything coming up?
Yeah, it's got his signature on it.
That's right.
Definitely looks like. So this would have been what, 70s?
No, well, for me, I was before, but it was open from some time to some time. But when did it close? Does it say?
Let me look.
Sorry.
Deeper into
we're really now, folks, we're gonna break the internet today with this nonsense. But so you would go in there, and it was one of these places where like you walked in there and it was like nobody had even walked in there in 7 years.
Right.
So,
right.
They were like, turn on the ice cube machine.
Get this guy a bowl of peanuts.
Yeah, we're gonna be right. I'll have get a ham spread on white toast and a Milwaukee's Best in a pony glass. So yeah. And I remember in Baltimore, my stepfather would take me to these things called stag bars.
Okay. I've heard of those, but I never know.
Stag bars are just bars. They're bars where women aren't allowed.
Right.
I don't know why. Why don't you have women there?
Well, there's that. What is it? What is the fucking
You're thinking, okay, you're thinking of the place that's, well, McSorley's, yes,
yeah,
but
ale house, right?
Also, there's the
that
one
was the first pub where they eventually women could go.
Yes, but there's another one called Farrell's, Farr, like the Farrell. Anyway, Farrell's, and that's in Windsor Terrace, right by Park Slope, and that's still around. And that place, famously, the first woman to ever go in there was Shirley MacLaine, the actress. And this is I don't know what she was doing in Brooklyn of all places, but she went in, and Farrell's is still around. And Farrell's is great because you go in there and they serve their beer in a giant, like white styrofoam cup, and you can get it to go, and you can just walk around the neighborhood with the big beer to go. Which they have a big sign at the door that says you can't leave with these, but everyone leaves with them.
Sure,
it's a big union bar, cop bar, that kind of thing. But when that neighborhood's good for trick or treating, so I would tell all the Park Slope dads. They were like, a lot of those dads were like pussies. They were afraid to go in there. They'd be like, I don't want to go into Farrell's. I work for NPR. I'd be like, come on, man, give me a break, bro. I stand out here and have them come. I had them buy me booze.
Right.
Any luck or no?
No, I'm trying to figure out when it closed.
Well, I think it may have closed. I think it closed 10 years before I went there, and nobody told the people in there.
Would it have been the 90s? It says something about our best year was 1994.
Could have been. I don't know. That would have been the last year. It had to have been, because, like I said, I was there in '89 when I was 16, and it was on fumes. Yeah. Although I like to think that maybe in the early '90s it had a bit of a renaissance, perhaps. I don't know.
There's like a Johnny and I's Golden Arm Award, so there's like a lot of information about that. Not as much about
the Golden Arm Lounge. But
let me see if there's a Wikipedia page.
Well, it's not like that important, I guess. But it was
there's no.
But in terms of getting people to buy you booze, that was sort of that was the trifecta. It was either, go down into Baltimore, have somebody do it, but again, to your point, and then when I was 15, I came to New York, and I came through on a bus, and I got off in Port Authority, and I went and I got they used to have these places where you could go in. It was like a head shop, and you go in the back, and they would just pull down like a projector, and it would have like various state IDs on it, right. Or school ID. So I had one that said like the University of Northern Ohio. And I bought that for $15. And it worked. Some places it worked. I think now though, they have like machines that scan the barcode on the I think it's gotten very high tech now. I think the whole idea of plus I think if you have a fake ID because of like Homeland Security, you can now it's like a felony or something.
Yeah, it takes a lot more even to counterfeit a bill is takes a lot more now. They got the whole hologram, and you should just be able to go to Kinko's.
Yeah, right. Or make my own Spanish doubloons.
Have you ever heard people? This would have probably been like in the Bronx when you were, or like in the Heights when you were maybe going to make a run back in the day.
Go ahead.
Guys on the street, they go Sosa, 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 like that.
No, what does Sosa mean? Is that Coke?
I didn't know what it meant for a long time.
Okay.
And I asked a friend of mine, kind of from the neighborhood, and he said it's like papers, like so it's like Social Security or like whatever, which I didn't realize that because I hear people fucking saying that all the time on.
So what do you mean? Are they selling counterfeit papers?
I guess, yeah.
So wait a minute. So you're saying
working papers or whatever.
So like a guy on the corner,
like a fake green card type thing, or I don't know.
That sounds very dangerous.
Maybe. Well, I had no idea because I thought it was like a haircut or something.
That's got Biden written all over it. Am I right? Because of the border.
Am I right?
The guys coming. They have the mental institutions in Mexico are empty with guys coming up with fake Social Security cards.
Right.
Written on fruit roll-ups,
right?
Selling them on the corners in Queens.
Yeah.
No,
it's a New York Post.
Yeah, I wonder. It's interesting.
I just found I had heard people saying that for years. I think I even tried to look it up, but it's like not a proper. It's like that, so I didn't. Know what they meant.
The spelling is weird too.
Because people say like court, like they're talking like haircuts and whatever, and there's chicas. It's like I know what that means.
I know what that means.
But
girls,
girls, cocaine. Like there's all I get all that.
Sure.
But I never knew what the sosa meant.
That's interesting. I mean, I can certainly understand that there's a whole world of like, like these terms for things that are things that you and I would never know about, because why would we? I mean, I have papers. It's like all I really have.
Also,
really.
why are they asking me if I want?
Yeah, you're like, what do I need more? I can't be a citizen twice, you guys.
Double citizen.
Yeah, exactly. How many social security numbers does a girl have to have? But the only thing is, briefly when I got food stamps, I had there was a place in Chinatown where you could go and, let's say, they would buy your food stamps from you. So you could go
you could flip your food stamps
like 50 cents on the dollar. So you could bring them in.
That's fucking genius.
It was genius. I don't think they have food stamps now. It's like a card, I think. I don't think they actually.
But you could probably sell the EBT card, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I presumably. Or go to like the machine with somebody. But I think it almost now it's like
having an ID. Is it like a?
It's like a credit card now. So now you'll get your EBT card, and it'll have like $200 a month on it.
And so the stamps previously, they were actual.
Oh my God, they were like a card of. It looked like Monopoly money. Wow. It was like brightly colored. Fun. Like the blues were 10s, the oranges were 5s.
Really,
something like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
And it was always embarrassing though.
Make it rain with my food stamps.
I remember that guy, Chris Walsh. I remember we went once to the grocery store, and he was a good cook, and he was going to show me. He was like, let's make paella. So we bought like all this fresh like lobster and monkfish,
couple of white
and
kids
shrimp, and we go to the front of the counter. And we pull this stuff out, and she's like, "That'll be $1.90." And I'm just ripping food stamps out of my booklet and giving them to them.
Wild.
Yeah, it was really funny. Actually,
that is a weird scene.
Very weird scene. And people are probably like, "Look at these guys. These guys are really down and out."
What the fuck?
These are some down and out Spanish.
Making paella.
Yeah, exactly. Pardon me. She's like doing a price check on a pound of caviar. Right. I'm like, "How many more of these do you need?" I've got 7 green ones.
Hilarious. Yeah, that's fucking hilarious. But there's a limit to, but there's no, as long as you're purchasing ingredients or whatever, I know you can't.
Well, okay.
Use them for certain things. You can buy them for cigarettes and liquor.
Well, when I got the food stamps, I got Brandon on food stamps because I figured out how to do it, and I sent him down to 14th
Probably
Street.
Survived an extra 10 years because of you.
Probably. But he would go to this bodega by our house, and he would use his food stamps for malt liquor.
Yeah, he probably charmed the counter.
Probably sucked everybody's dick in there.
Yeah,
he gave it away. Staff. Well, the thing about him was like, I remember I was with him once because I got him on food stamps, and we were in the bodega together, and he had like 4 St. Ides with him, and he was bringing them up to the counter.
Oh boy!
And he just goes to pull out his food stamps, and I said to him, "I'm like, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And the guy behind the counter was like, "Oh, my friend, kind of like this." Yeah. And I was like,
keep it.
I shamed Brandon. I was like, "Don't do that. Use this for cheese and meat."
Mm-hmm.
You're going to eat. At some point, you're going to need to eat. But I'm sure the minute I left, you probably went right back.
Vienna sausages.
Yeah. He was like, "Keep these warm."
Juice boxes.
Yeah. So you ever play Edward? What do they call Edward 40
Edward 40 hands? I never did. No. I knew some kids.
That's one thing I could never get. I never could drink malt liquor.
First time I ever got drunk behind an elementary school.
Oh.
I wasn't in elementary school, but I was in 7th grade.
Sure.
And drank malt.
Go ahead.
Probably Old English, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Or like Red Dog or something like that. But yeah, malt liquor.
Yeah, which is essentially, it's just beer with more booze in it, I think, right? It's just like fortified beer.
Yeah, I guess. It hits you.
Yeah, well, it's like a 15% or something. So it's kind of like the same amount, but it's fizzy. So it kind of gets in your head.
And I remember keg parties that we would go to. I was in high school, but they were college kids.
Oh, yeah.
Keg parties. And those were always malt liquor, like Ice House, Milwaukee's Best, like that type of stuff.
I'm under the impression that Ice House on Milwaukee's Best, that's just beer.
But I think there's something extra. It's like it's a malt.
Okay. Because I know once you get above a certain percentage point of alcohol content, it's no longer called beer. So that's what it is. So it's like
a malt beverage.
Right.
Because you would wake up. I would wake up on basement floors. One time I woke up bleeding from my fucking eyebrow.
Asshole.
Yes.
Woke up bleeding from my asshole.
money.
Yeah, exactly.
That weren't there previously.
Pocket full of food stamps.
But I remember like vaguely falling down some
yes.
stairs, like face first. Thankfully, they were carpeted, but waking up in like strangers' houses. And this was 16 years old.
Yep.
17
Yeah,
years
yeah.
old. Fucking wild. But that malt. I mean, I didn't know that's what it was. I just thought it was beer. But I mean, you would be chugging that stuff and then just full on time travel.
I remember New Year's Eve, 1988. So into 89, I was 15, and it was my buddy Scott, my best friend Scott. We've had several falling outs. Now we're currently still we're still in a timeout.
We're still on
a falling out right now. Yeah, I don't think we're ever coming back from that one. But but so we were friends, but we were, because I lived in Baltimore City, you could just like leave your house and walk around and find trouble and kids and everything,
Mm-hmm.
And so
nobody's parents were home.
No, I don't know where everybody was.
Within the city limits, you're not allowed to have parental.
I know. And it's like, and it wasn't like anybody I knew was rich. It wasn't like everyone was on like skiing in Vail.
But certain economic, areas. I mean, I had a friend that was like, lived in, not to say that we were not wealthy either, but we were like wealthy in a isolated area. But when I would go to like the city and visit my poor friends there, that lived in like apartment buildings, that's where all the crazy nonsense would happen
with their parents.
Nobody's parents were home. Everybody's mom was gone
or
working
or something.
Yeah, they were all like,
I could see that,
or working their second job. So all kinds of tomfoolery.
I just remember the times where you would go to some kid's house and there'd be like 9 kids sitting around,
right? And
somebody would be like fucking in the parents' bedroom,
strobe light,
or just like just doing all kind of weird shit. And you were like, where are these
somebody
parents?
making bologna sandwiches?
Yeah, right. Somebody's got all the spices out. Right. Like I'm a chef.
Well, my parents would they were so fucking naive, or maybe they just didn't care, but they would leave for weekends. And like I remember one weekend they left on prom weekend.
What?
And it was Lollapalooza.
You would also think
because they had 4 acres of land that was like totally isolated.
Okay.
I mean, there were cars all the way down the driveway, all the way down like on the road. People were parked.
See, it
was why hundreds and hundreds of kids.
If you're gonna go somewhere, you're gonna go somewhere. But you would think your parents would have gone to the neighbors and been like, have some sort of like, you watch my back, I'll watch yours.
You would think that I would have. I mean, I had a neighbor across the road was cool, but my closest neighbor was my uncle. So I mean, all he would have had to have done was drive to his house
and was
at that time and been like, hey, dude.
Was he like a cool uncle?
He was pretty cool, but he would have pulled up, found me, and said,
you gotta get this.
You gotta shut it down. And that would have been very embarrassing.
Right.
Like,
would he grab you by your ear?
No, he was like, he wouldn't have been like, you fucking knucklehead. Right. He was cool. Like, he would have been, actually, you know what? He wouldn't have. He would have gone home. He would have called me.
Okay, that's cool.
And he would have said, dude, you got, like, there's cars down it's like you're having an outdoor concert. Like, you gotta.
Okay.
And
be smart about it.
Yeah, and let your parents know. I don't know what he would have done about my parents, because he wasn't the type that would like drop a dime, but he would have made me tell them probably.
He wasn't one of those uncles that knew the age of consent in every state.
No.
Hey, listen, Adam, a lot of noise down there. What do you got on some vanilla? What do you got? Some, Ice Baby on? All right. Any girls that are 16, turning 16 in May?
Yeah. Is there grass on the field?
I'm just saying, any 16-year-olds there'll be 16 in May, because that's right. I can skate with that one, but I'm not going back to prison.
Yeah,
anyway.
No, he was very wholesome bachelor, farmer. I know he had all the makings of a creep, and maybe I just don't know. Or
homosexual.
And he was in the Catholic Big Brothers program, so he like mentored.
Talk about hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, but I mean,
sounds like he was everybody's uncle.
Yeah, he was like an actual, like he was like a literal Boy Scout, but not in like a. I don't think.
You don't think he diddled the kids?
No, I actually think he was like a wholesome guy.
What a weirdo! You know what I mean?
Pretty weird, but I think certain people like they just don't have the get up and go. I guess like he would have lady friends. Yeah. He was kind of Christian.
Okay, I see, but never married. Not the marrying type.
He never got married.
Just seems odd to me.
He was like a weird loner. Like, but I think he was like, there were like cold people that didn't know how to like express their feelings. So I think it's hard to keep like a woman around.
Well, unless you tie her up to the radiator.
Yeah.
Have you met your new aunt? She's over there. She's so hungry. She's like, please help me. I'm going to cut your fucking tongue
somebody
out.
said, sounds like autism. Yeah, maybe. You could be completely spot on. Never even thought about that.
Hey, by the way, just to jump tracks for a second, is anybody watching Love on the Spectrum season 2?
Oh yeah, I've seen it. I've seen both seasons.
Oh, is it? I thought it was new. The second season was yeah.
No, I think they're coming out with a third.
I bet they are. Great. No, there's no shortage of people that work it. I will say it's kind of funny. Is like, okay, so there's that guy, and if you haven't seen the show, there's no spoilers, but there's one guy that has like, his parents are, he's from Boston. His parents are older. His parents are like in their 70s. Blind, and he talks like this.
Renaissance Festival.
Yes,
yeah, he's great.
I've collected swords, and Dad, I know. And he's just the guy is so. But the thing about it is, he's on Instagram, and he's a real fucking creep. Like,
oh, is he?
He's like, I want to know if girls always have triangle vagina hair, or is it the kind of hair? Yeah, he's like, because I remember. I watched
a monster.
Yeah, he's like, I must say, I'm kind of a famous. Please tell me if you're on your period. The blood, is it coppery, or is it the kind of blood that flows freely from between your legs, or is it clumpy?
Wow.
Yeah, he's really, that's really. It's kind of funny because when you watch 90 Day Fiance, like all those girls, those hot Colombian, Brazilian girls, they all get OnlyFans, and I feel like the autistic guys, they never find love. Yeah. But and I watched one last night. We watched 2 last night, but there's one where the guy is he's from Clemson, South Carolina, and he's a big goony white guy, big skinny white guy, and he's really sweet. And these people have had it's been rough. I get it.
Yeah.
But and he works at a hotel, and he goes, I just want to meet a girl who's Christian, and then they put him on a date, and the girl has Down syndrome, but he doesn't have Down syndrome.
Oh.
And I'm kind of like, is that legal even? I think I know her from the first season too. Like, and he's sitting across from her, and he's talking to Miles.
They have a separate show for that, for Down with Love, with the people with Down syndrome.
Listen, if you've ever seen All in the Family, the Jeffersons, they live next door. It's kind of a cross promotion of the shows. Maybe they bring over the Down.
I remember this guy, but I would have to.
Okay,
this is season 2,
second season.
Okay, I'm gonna look.
Clemson, South Carolina. He works. He's a big, tall, skinny white kid. And he has his hand. I don't know. You're listening. I have my hand up, my left hand up, like I'm kind of Sig Heiling. But he's got his left hand up like this, and he's always doing high five. They love high fives.
Yeah, they sure do.
I want a girl who's Christian, and I love dinosaurs. They always love dinosaurs, but
I'm thinking of because there was the first season was in Australia,
right? And I think the production company, they are still Australian because you hear them off camera.
Right.
They're like, do you mind?
There was Mark. He really loved dinosaurs. He was like,
yes, I remember him.
Guy.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
My favorite was Sabode, though. Do you know Sabode?
I don't think I've gotten a Sabode.
He's the Indian guy from San Jose.
From the first season. Yeah.
Oh no, that's season 2.
I think
first season is all Australian people.
Okay. You might be, but Sabode isn't. I don't know. I know who you're talking about. He's a guy that's really good at math, and he's Indian. Yeah. Right. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Kelly Jones is the one you're talking about from what do you call it?
He's a guy.
Roman.
Yes.
Oh, Ronan. He's the South Carolina guy, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah. And he's the guy that the way he talks, he sounds like he's being condescending, but he's not.
No, he's not.
He's like, you're beautiful.
Yes.
I think they're a cute couple. I think they actually.
Oh, they're a couple? Well, spoiler alert.
I think that they
get it together.
I mean, I don't know if any of these people are together still.
Oh, they better be fixed. We don't need more of them.
Well, that's like the crazy kind of thing is like, can you know,
are you allowed to procreate if you're
right? Well, people with autism, you can. I don't know.
I mean,
dude, it's wild.
They're probably so busy counting pubic hairs that they forget to even have sex.
Sure. But there's people that are what do they call it? Lower needs that are
special needs.
No, so it's like they're like the terms change all the time.
Sure, it does.
It used to be hot.
Filipino.
Fuck, what but now they call it like lower needs. So basically, they used to call it high functioning, low functioning. Now it's lower needs, higher needs, or whatever. So basically, meaning like they got less of it.
They can't live. Well, that guy that we're talking about, the Clemson, South Carolina guy, he has 2 roommates, and they have Down syndrome.
Oh,
and they're pretty
jacked. Wait, you mean autism?
No, they have Down syndrome, and they live with this guy. Syndrome. Yeah. Huh? He has whatever he has, and these 2 guys, but they just have a little Down syndrome. They're just they're kind of jacked, you know what I mean? And yeah, they look like.
I guess I remember. I watched it a while ago. Dude, I was like on it. I watched those right away.
Well, but anyway, that guy is on Instagram now. The guy with the long hair. Who he's
Kelly,
but he just he doesn't look. Is his name Kelly?
That's what it said on.
Who cares? But anyway, it's just funny because I'm on Instagram and I'm like, oh, that's the guy that's that sweet guy, and he's like, all girls must.
Oh, and there's a gay one too. Jaden is gay, which is very interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I remember him, but he's Australian. That guy.
No, I'm talking about the.
We're all over the map here.
This is season 2. He's wait, where is he from? He is
okay. I'm not there.
Or is he from? Maybe that's season 1. I don't know.
All right, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it's a great fucking show.
It is great, but it is.
It's like an experiment.
You know what I mean? It is. But I would think that the Down syndrome people, I wouldn't think you could sort of cross pollinate like Down syndrome with autism. But the guy with autism, he doesn't seem to care.
That girl, I think is like she's a cocktail.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, she's very sweet though.
Very sweet. Her, so. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Hey, listen, love is love. I don't give a shit. Whatever, you know. But yeah, I was saying to my long suffering wife last night when we were watching. I was like, you imagine like they take a break to switch batteries on the cameras, and he goes to the guys and the Australian guys, and like even though he's autistic, he's like, really, guys, really? This is what you bring to me? Come on, guys, come on, look at her. Look, she's coming back. She's coming back. Do you like hamburgers? You know. And there's that really sweet couple that goes to Africa, and she likes lions. And she has the big fat boyfriend guy they all seem vaguely gay to me, but who cares? Anyway, it's a
great fucking show.
Great show.
And are there 3 seasons and a 4th is coming out, or is it?
God, they're off the reservation.
But I know that there's a new season coming out.
Well, we're on season 2, and I felt like it was a new thing for me anyway. I was like, oh, this is a new.
But yeah, you should go back and watch 1.
I did. I was like,
you did.
I'm
okay,
up. I'm up. No, I'm not.
Okay, gotcha.
Although you don't really need to watch 1 to watch 2, but I did watch 1 because the guy with the long hair, the Renaissance guy, he's from season 1, and then season 2 they bring him back. And spoiler alert, he still is having a hard time meeting a girl.
Okay,
but I do think it's funny because they do put him on a date, and the girl tells him that she wants to have children, like in the beginning of their date, and he just shuts it down. And even his father, who must have had him late in life, because the dad looks like he's about 80, and the kid's like 30. The guy, he's like 35, and the father has a really thick Boston accent, and he's like, "So what happened, son?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, Dad, she told me she wanted to have children, and I can't have children because I know that I'm not that type of person." And he's like, and the father's kind of like, "Look, why don't you just fucking get it wet a couple of times, and then let her down slowly, and maybe bust it in her guts, or maybe we already had you fixed. You don't know what we did when you were younger, you know, like." You know, and but he doesn't. He's like, I can't. But I do think it's funny when like even this guy who wears like capes and has probably been kicked out of a Renaissance fair once or twice. Like even that guy's like, yeah, she has narrow cheekbones. You're like, Jesus Christ, dude, just any port in a storm here.
Yeah.
At this point, I think I told you my grandmother worked with back then we called them retarded people, and now they're called Italians. Anybody? Hello, thank you.
But Polacks.
And she took me once they all went bowling because people that are special needs love bowling. They love bowling. And we went, and one of the girls on the trip, I was like 7 or 8, maybe 9. One of the girls on the trip was like in her late teens, and she liked me. And she wrote me a love letter, and it really freaked me out because she wanted to give it to me, but I didn't want to. So I started crying. My grandmother was like, "Go," because I was hiding. I was terrified of these people because they're like big and retarded. I don't know, like I was 7 or something, and my grandmother was like, "Go over," and she wants to give you a note, and I was like, "I don't want to go anywhere near her." And my grandmother didn't like force me. She brings me over, but I got my first erection. She's like, meet your new girlfriend. She's like 24, but she wanted to give me this like card. It was all, I remember it was like, bad handwriting. It was like, I love you. I was like, ah, I was very scared of the retarded. I mean, it's a lot, right? Yeah. All right. Should we check in?
Yeah, let's check in. Then we got to go behind the old,
all right, everybody.
Behind the old beaded curtain. Hi to Ted. Hi to Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Your buddy Paul Dinnan.
Hey, Paul. Paul and I send each other Instagram reels. Hi, Tanktastic.
Pete Jop.
Hello, Pete. PT.
Hello. Tarnished Maiden.
Ooh. Yeah, why not?
All right. Why not? Right.
Picked up a lot of gals on Instagram recently.
Oh, really? Is
girls?
That why?
Ooh. Holler at your boy.
Beating them off with a stick.
Something like beating me off with a stick.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it, everybody. Hello. Have a lovely Friday.
Hello.
We're gonna jump off here. Hello, Ted. Hello, Governor. Mind your chips and beans.
Tarnished Maiden says, heart you, Brian and Adam.
Yeah, we love you too.
Yeah, I'm putting that one on the screen.
All right. On the screen.
I put it up on the screen just because she's a lovely lady.
Well, remember,
or at least a fella pretending to be one.
It doesn't matter to us.
It's fine.
We'll take whatever it is. You don't even need to pretend you're a girl.
Oh, hey to Nick, our clip guy.
Hey, what's up, Nick?
He's here.
All right, everybody. Listen, thank you. Remember, Brian M Show on all the platforms, except for I don't know, Twitch and MySpace, but no.
What are you on MySpace?
I'm Dork Handler 95.
Yeah.
Zork Aficionado, but I can't spell aficionado, so it has 4 F's. Aficionado. And then that's it. Brian M Show. Obviously, Patreon's a lot of fun. We have some new Patreon people to say hello to when we get over there, so we'll jump over there.
And that's patreon.com/Brian McCarthy,
which I believe is on the screen behind us,
right below,
on the ticker,
breaking
on the Black History Month ticker. And I believe next week, not to get everyone too excited, but we have Howard coming back, right?
Yeah,
Howard,
he's ready.
Let's get him drunk again. That was always fun. So we'll give him a Brandy Alexander in a Ziploc bag, just how he likes it.
Yeah.
We're gonna have we should have like a contest. How many jackets will Howard wear at one time?
Right. Well, we got him drunk last time.
He was great. Got a little racist, but
yeah, we kind of got some true.
We got real Howard,
the real Howard.
You know what's wrong with those people?
Happy Howard.
Yeah. Let's go on Patreon now. Let's get off this this platform. Yeah, you can find Howard at Storm. What's this? Stormfront.
Storm the Capitol.
No, Stormfront.net.
I don't know.
Storm the Capitol. All right, we're out of here.
Find him on Rumble.
Everybody, thank you. Rumble in the Jungle.